Make a table PC lah, save space.
Oh shit, it's on my oh god. Hello there, Julian from JulianTechTM and welcome to the corner of my new home. If you're seeing this video, it means I have successfully installed a PC underneath. And the reason why I'm doing this is because when I was in my old place, it was my mom's place, so I got the freedom to drill holes in the wall. But this technically not my place, it's my landlord's place and I can't anyhow drill holes in the walls. I was thinking like how to save space, I can drill my table. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is turn the table upside down. Oh, that's not good. So although the table is very wide and lengthy, the thing is we only can use less than half of the space. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is to remove the cable management. I think in my mind, mounting the hardware is actually the easy part. Cable managing is gonna be the hardest part of this build. Oh wow, there is very little room. Wow, I didn't know I had so little space. Oh no, really not a lot of space. It's like a puzzle and I still got a power brick, hard drive, power supply. I'm just gonna YOLO it.
Are you sure about that?
Oh god, the screw broke. What Lanchel screws are these? I can do this. Step, step. Oh shit! Oh no, I stepped the glue. For me, I learned the hard way one. Don't need do theory, just do. Wow, that's so bad. Why must I do this? Why?
Make a table PC lah, save space.
Oh shit, it's on my box. Oh god, nothing is working.
The next morning.
Okay, day 2, let's start fresh. Following yesterday's misadventure, I opt to do a voiceover so that I can fully concentrate on this build. Here's a list of parts I bought for this build and tools I use. I will go through them one by one in this video. The first thing I did was just place all the components to where I would want to install them into. This will give me a rough idea of where everything should be. I wanted the radiator to be in the corner of the room, that's why I placed the radiator mount at the corner of the table. Meaning the motherboard has to be around that area as well, because the tubes were not very long. My GPU has to be around this area too, because my PCIe extension is not very long as well. From there, I saw that there was space below the GPU to put my hard drive mount. For enough space for the power cables to pull through, I made sure that my power cables were long enough. On to the installation process. I wanted to start off with the most difficult part of the build, which was installing the motherboard. I bought these M3 threaded nuts, actually made for 3D printing, but I made it work for this build. I will be using this to install the motherboard standoff screws. And the best way I found to install this M3 nut into the table is to drill a slightly smaller hole first, then hammer the nut in. The screw bit I used was 4.5 mm. If you're using a different nut, then I recommend buying 3, 3.5, 4 and 4.5 mm and drill them from smallest to biggest and testing out your own nuts. The drill I'm using is a Bosch hammer drill. This is actually overkill for this build because the hammer drill can be used for concrete and it's pretty expensive to get a Bosch drill. If you really want to try this build or drill anything, you can either borrow from a friend or buy a cheaper wired drill. That can cost maybe $50 to $70. But if you're thinking of drilling more stuff and being a handyman, then investing in a good drill would be beneficial. The difficult part is actually to drill the holes at the right position for the motherboard. I would say the best way to do this is to use a paper and mark out all the screw holes of the motherboard. Then by placing the paper on the table, you drill through. But because I just moved in, I somehow don't have paper. Therefore, what I did was to use a hand rotary tool with a small drill attachment, 3 mm, and hand drill just a small mark on the table first. Then later, use a regular drill to drill the hole. Yeah, do note my method shown here is not actually very safe for the motherboard. Next is to screw in the standoffs, just like a regular case. Then I wanted to install the radiator mount, which I bought the wrong size. But regardless, I'm installing them so I can make sure when the radiator is mounted, it doesn't block the GPU ports. What I learned yesterday is if you don't pre-drill the hole before screwing, you can actually damage both the wood and the screw. So using a 5.3 drill bit, I drill the spot that I want the radiator mount to be. Once that's done, I can install both the motherboard and radiator. I also added the PCIe extension to the motherboard and the GPU to see where exactly I can mount the GPU. I'm using an RTX 3090 by the way. On top of installing a PCIe mount, I also need a GPU stand because it's a heavy boy. So I pre-drilled the hole and installed the PCIe mount and GPU stand. But I won't be be installing the GPU yet because I will add the hard drive first. Installing the hard drive was a little complicated because my mount was not a proper mount. I just took mine from a Corsair case. If you're thinking of doing this, I recommend getting a proper hard drive mount or just don't use hard drive. SSDs are the future anyway. Lastly, the PSU mount and the power extension. Then it's an easy drill for the screw holes. Mount it. At this point, easy work. And next is basically installing the PC components. Installing the GPU, screwing in the fans for the radiator, plugging all the cables including the fan connector, pump connector which is not very long, motherboard power cable, CPU power cable, SATA power cable with the SATA cable to the motherboard of course, and preparing the PCIe power for the GPU. Trying to cable manage a bit in the power cables. I can do this. Yeah. And now flipping the table back. That's done. Before I even do cable management, I'll add the monitor arm, monitors, and the peripherals because there are gonna be more cables like the power cables, DisplayPort cables. And now cable management. Where do I even start? It was a challenge without the cable management tool, the thing that I removed at the start. But if you all remember, when I helped Ryan do his cable management, I was in a similar position. Just harder now because I had limited space. I had to do cable management with clips like this and double-sided tape. So I used the double-sided tape for power bricks and the clips for all the dangling cables. You can also watch my other cable management video here, which I really went in depth on how to make cables look better. But yeah, this is the cables. Not my best work, but here's the thing. You can't see it. And let's get back to present Julian. Go. After 3 days of building the table PC, it is finally done. I have connected everything, the monitors, the headset, keyboard, and even cable managed, and I haven't even checked it. Sounds like a bad idea. And you might be asking, how are you going to turn on your computer without a case? With my new home keys, I will go down to the motherboard and turn on the switch. It works as light. You can see the light, you can see the light. Now the question is, will it boot? I know the way of turning on is not ideal, but I'll get to that later. It boots! What a boot! It boots!
It boots.
Yes! I have never been so happy to hear Windows 11. All my things still here. Yes. Yes. I would react more, but I'm just so tired. Yes, I did it. I did it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now, for the switch, I won't be doing it today because I don't have my soldering iron or a drill bit that's big enough. I will be installing this button. It's a very cool button. Because if you know anything about the on button, it's basically just connecting two pins together, and this would do it. So my plan is to drill like a big hole, not say big lah, like that big lah, to insert this button in. Then I can solder the wire onto the button, and then I can connect the wire to another set of proper motherboard switch wires, and then I can insert it in. There's a few things I also want to do with this setup. You know, the backdrop be a little bit better. Not for a video or anything, I just want to look at a nice background, you know. Another mod that I want to do is to have custom length cables, so you see all the cables are just too long and then I had to like fold them in and cable manage them. I would rather just have one short cable specifically for this table PC. But all these mods, I won't be doing a video about it on YouTube. I will update it more on Instagram. So if you want to follow my journey into upgrading this setup, follow me on Instagram. I have a TikTok also. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this video. It's fun to do this kind of PCs because I've been building PCs, like regular PCs for so long. This is something different and I want to do more PCs that is outside the box. So I want to thank Omnidesk for having good desks. They did sponsor me this lah. I want to be honest with y'all lah. They sponsored me this table, but not bad, the table. They gave me the wood one. Next time give me the itchy one lah.
$3,000.
But thank you very much everybody. I hope you enjoy and I'll see you in the next video next week. And I'm done.